You're listening to Real Talk Texas with local expert Steve Hakes. Now, here's Steve.
Welcome back. Today in the studio, we've got David Rosenbaum of Premier Real Estate Solutions. Here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they do a great job. They do a huge amount of work in the Metroplex at a really affordable price, good value for rehab, renovation type things that they've done. His partner Phil Loesch has been on our show before. He's done a lot of work for some of the people that have actually been on TV with the radio show A&E, and they've done the fix and flip thing. Well, Phil's the guy behind the scenes is actually going in and doing the design work and putting in the actual product and completing that project for those flippers. And so he and David had hooked up, and they've got a company called Premier Real Estate Solutions. And one of the things that you guys do, we've talked about the last segment, just about fixing up properties and things like that. What do you need to do? Get the most bang for your buck. As a mortgage guy, I will tell you that probably putting in a pool wouldn't be a good idea because the appraisers tell me you get about half that value. If you're getting ready to sell your house, you'd be more better suited if you put your money into the master bathroom or the kitchen area. Those are the two hottest properties. We've also had other people on the show before. We've had Murphy from Peaks Flooring. He was on. He just talked about, just putting in fresh carpet. You don't have to go with the top grade like David said, but putting in fresh carpet, fresh paint will do a lot for selling a house quickly. And so let's talk about moving houses quickly, David, and let's talk about some of the solutions that you guys have. If you're listening out there and you've had a tough situation, I talk to people all the time in the mortgage business where they went through a spell in their life, and I always say bad things happen to good people too. And so what we do is we try to say, okay, how do you get out of where you are right now, and how do you go forward and better your life? And that's one of the things I do as a mortgage professional. But one of the things David does with his company is he has solutions for if you're behind on your payments, you just can't make your mortgage payment anymore. Something's happened, or maybe you've got a neighbor that's got a property. We can talk about that later too, that you can tell that something's going on there. How you can reach out and offer help. So David, let's talk first about your property acquisition, how you can get people out of a house, and what are you guys doing in that aspect?
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, I think, before the show, acquiring and repositioning the asset, where you can come in and help reposition the asset for folks. We're able to, there's a lot of people out there, as you said, that are distressed, can't make that payment. Maybe they're living next to a neighbor who they notice the grass is growing kind of high, or they know that owner lives out of state, say in California where Phil is, and they just need some help unloading that property because, let's be honest, it's the world we live in today, and things happen. We're able to come in, assess the property, analyze it because we have the general contracting division, look at what work needs to be done, if any at all, and then we're able to close on that property cash within between 7 to 10 days, depending. Understanding that, just so folks know out there, the property has to have some equity in it, and most of them do. I know some of them are upside down, but there's ways that we can get through that. I think with yourself and our company, there's ways out there to get creative with helping folks out. But I think, as you mentioned, one of the biggest solutions we can do is we can come in and analyze that property, look at it from a contracting standpoint, and then we're able to come in and buy that thing cash and close pretty quick and to get them out of that tough situation.
And then they can move on, turn the page. And, that's one thing. A lot of people that have gone through bankruptcy or something like that, a lot of people, one thing I love about Texas is that people really are people of their word. And you see fewer Chapter 7s here. You see more Chapter 13 bankruptcy because people really want to pay back the people that lent them the money. But sometimes they try and things just didn't get better, and they end up rolling into a Chapter 7. So what I always say is, from a mortgage standpoint, it really doesn't matter to me which one. We just have our rules. It's from the date of discharge. We don't really look if it's Chapter 13, Chapter 7. Unless it's an FHA loan and you filed a Chapter 13 and you made all your payments on time and you're still doing it. After 1 year, a lot of people don't know that, but after 1 year of being in Chapter 13, I can qualify you for a mortgage. As long as you've had no collections, no past dues in the last 12 months, from the day that you go into your Chapter 13 to the time you get ready to go, I can do a mortgage for you and get you back on your feet. So the great thing about being in the United States is we have some of these things in place that give people a second chance. And so one of the things that you're saying, say you file a Chapter 7. Well, a lot of times in a Chapter 7, that house is still yours, okay? But you may not be able to afford it still. But you filed your Chapter 7, the house is in the Chapter 7, but you've done a renewal, so you're still making the payments. You're trying to hold on to that house. Well, a lot of times I'll get a call from people and they'll say, well, I'm getting behind. I can't really do that. Well, I think there's two steps we could do here for our listeners. And one of them is, if you're in that situation, maybe your interest rate's just too high. Maybe you've got a situation where you need some real financial advice, how to reposition your finances. And that's where you reach out to me, Steve Hakes. And you can call our office at 214-643-6021. That's 214-643-6021. And I'm here to help you. I'll give you the best advice. And I will tell you one thing my clients like about me is I'm a straight shooter. I'll just tell you, here's the facts. Here's the way it is. And you make the choice in what you want to do. And a lot of times people think they're in a worse situation than they really are. Mm-hmm. If they call me, then I can get in there and work the numbers, maybe refinance them into a lower rate, or maybe change the term of their loan. Maybe they've been in the house 10 years. And now if I take them back to another 30-year, that extends it, lowers the payment, they can stay in the house.
Playing off that, you're right. Then when you're unable to do some of those things for those folks, or you just cannot because of the regulations and whatnot, defer to us. Some other things to look at, it's a fact of life that we have estate sales. There's people that lose loved ones that have had a house that they don't know what to do. They just need the family members need to get rid of the house. They may be out of state or they live locally, and they want to get rid of that house because they want to pay off that estate and some debt that comes with that. So, I would say, if I could, I'll put my number out there. When it comes to the acquisition, or if you have questions about property, just call me directly at 817-818-6093. Again, that's 817-818-6093. And let's just talk and let me look at your property. And on the phone, I can probably analyze in a couple of minutes of what your situation is and how we can maybe help you get out of it, or help you get with Steve, or whatever you may need. We can definitely try and do something, because there's a lot of folks out there right now that are just, I think, confused. I think the papers they read and the newspapers they read and the TV shows they listen to have them confused. But there are solutions. I don't want people out there to think you cannot get out of your house, that you're stuck, because you're not. There's a lot of solutions out there. So,
or you've inherited a home and you can't sell it because maybe it's it's distressed, it's
right,
dilapidated or whatever. There's still some value there, and you as a family can get their money out of it, and you don't have to go through all the rehab and repositioning of the asset like your company would do for them. Today in the studio, we've got David Rosenbaum, if you've just tuned in, with Premier Real Estate Solutions. And what they do is a lot of great things. They can help you when things are going well as far as rehab and a remodel. They can also help those listeners out there that may be in a bad situation. And one of the things we do here at Real Talk Texas, we try to bring in some real experts that can give real advice and really help our listeners. And so that's why David's in the studio today. And we know that there's been a few properties recently you were telling me about, that you bought a property that was someone went through. There's the one in Fort Worth. You might want to talk about that, and that one's on the market today. But the people had a lot of medical bills, and they needed some help. They needed to get out of that property fast, and they needed cash. And so your firm was able to go in, give them the cash. You've repositioned the asset and put a lot of money into it, from what I remember you telling me. And that home's for sale today, right? Yeah,
we have a house right now over in Fort Worth, over off the Camp Boo area. It's a Clayton Road West home. The address, if I could throw it out there, it's 4108 Clayton Road West. It's in Fort Worth. It's a gorgeous home, a 1955 built home. And you're right, the folks were in distress out there. And again, that situation arises sometimes. We were able to come in and close within about 5 days on that house cash. We put several thousands of dollars into it, as we spoke on the first segment, remodeling that and getting it up to speed to the year 2013, I think. Gorgeous home, and now it's on the market. It's been on the market for about 30 days now, and we're excited about it. So those are some of the things that we can do. Like you said, we can come in from concept to completion. We'll come in, talk to you about your property you're remodeling, talk to you about your property that you have distressed, out-of-state owner, whatever may be, come in there, fix that property up, or buy it for you from cash and help you out of a situation that you can't get out of.
Well, that's a great solution. Again, you're listening to Real Talk Texas here on KLIF. Today in the studio, we've got David Rosenbaum of Premier Real Estate Solutions. They're truly an end-to-end solution for real estate needs. Probably a first call to make if you've got a situation, or if you're looking to make a change in your real estate position. Of course, myself, Steve Hakes, I do a lot of the mortgages in the financing for David and his firm. We really will help people, whether you're an investor out there. We do a lot of investor loans, as well as people buying their first home or getting into a situation where they need to remodel and financing that whole remodel job as well. So you're going to stay tuned. The next segment, we're going to talk more with David about some of the other solutions they have for you. If you're an investor, you're really going to want to listen in, and you're going to want to find out how Premier Real Estate Solutions can help you as an investor as well. Again, the special offer that's on the table for the first 10 listeners that send a text to our show, they're going to get 20% off a job that's completed by Premier Real Estate Solutions by the end of July. And that number to text is 817-925-2546. That's 817-925-2546. Just text the word FIX. We'll put you in touch with Premier Real Estate Solution. Andrew will make sure we tabulate, and hopefully you're one of the first 10 that text in, and you'll get that discount from Real Talk Texas here. So stay tuned.